The reason so many people struggle with money is because they've been taught to connect their self-worth to their possessions. They believe the car they drive is who they are. They believe the logo on their shoes says something about their value. They believe the phone in their hand tells a story about their success. And as long as your identity is tied to what you own, you will always feel like you need more. You will always feel like you're behind. You will always feel like you have something to prove. But peace comes when you realize you don't need to prove anything. The moment you stop letting possessions define you, your financial life finally becomes your own. You stop buying things because you want to be seen. You start buying only what supports your goals. You start thinking differently. You start thinking long term, and that is where wealth begins, not in your wallet, but in your mind. The first time you say no to yourself, it will be uncomfortable. It will feel like you're missing out. It will feel like everyone else is living and you're just watching. But you are not losing anything. You are investing. You're investing in your future peace. You're investing in your future freedom. You're investing in the version of you that wakes up one day without stress, without panic, without fear. That version of you is worth the sacrifice. The truth is, most people are addicted to the feeling of buying something new. It gives them a rush, a quick high, a moment where life feels exciting, but that feeling fades in minutes, maybe hours, and then you're left right where you started, but with less money and more stress. That is not happiness. That is not success. That is escape. Real happiness comes from control, from knowing your money is secure, from knowing your future is protected, from knowing you are not living at the edge of a financial cliff. That is the kind of confidence no purchase can give you. That is the kind of confidence you build. The world will tell you to treat yourself, but treating yourself does not mean constantly giving in to impulse. Treating yourself means taking care of your future. Treating yourself means making sure you never have to panic when life surprises you. Treating yourself means building a life where your money works for you instead of controlling you. So you have to make a choice. Do you want to feel rich for a moment, or do you want to be rich for the rest of your life? Because one requires impulse, the other requires discipline. One disappears the moment you walk out of the store. The other stays with you every single day. I know the world glorifies the appearance. I know it looks like everyone is living better than you. But I'll tell you this, most people you see showing off are broke behind the scenes. They're drowning in payments. They're stressed. They're scared. They're exhausted. And they can't stop because the image has become their identity. You are not going to live like that. You are not going to be trapped by your own lifestyle. You are not going to be owned by the things you buy. You are going to build a life where your possessions are a blessing, not a burden. Where your money gives you freedom, not anxiety. Where your lifestyle reflects your stability, not your insecurity. And that starts with one simple decision. You stop caring whether anyone thinks you're wealthy. You stop chasing the image. You stop performing for the approval of people who don't matter. You choose reality over appearance, substance over show, freedom over pressure. Because you're not trying to look rich anymore, you're becoming rich. Becoming rich starts with seeing the world differently. It starts with recognizing that money is not something you chase, it's something you manage, it's something you direct, it's something you tell where to go instead of wondering where it went. And most people never learn that. They don't track their spending, they don't think before they purchase, they don't plan for the future, they just react. They move through life financially blind, hoping it all somehow works out in the end. Hope is not a strategy. Hope will not pay your bills. Hope will not build your retirement. Hope will not protect your family. You need a plan, a simple one, a plan that doesn't depend on luck or timing or some miracle, a plan that works because you work it. And that starts with living below your means, not at your means, not above your means. Below. That's how you create margin. That's how you create breathing room. That's how you create money that has nowhere else to go but forward into your future, into your savings, into your investments, into your stability. The world will call you boring for that. Let them. Because the same people calling you boring now will be asking you for advice later. They'll wonder how you moved ahead while they stayed stuck. They'll assume you got lucky. They'll never see the nights you stayed home, the purchases you didn't make, the vacations you didn't take, the times you chose purpose instead of pleasure, discipline instead of dopamine, because nobody sees the foundation. They only see what is built on top of it. And here's the truth: wealth is not built from big decisions. It's built from small ones. It's built from choosing not to buy something you don't need. It's built from making an extra payment on your debt. It's built from saving a little bit even when it doesn't feel like it matters. It's built from patience. It's built from consistency. It's built from the quiet, responsible choices that nobody else notices. But you will notice. You'll feel the shift. One day you'll open your account and see money sitting there that you didn't have before. And for the first time in your life, you'll realize you're not drowning anymore. You're not gasping for air. You're breathing. You're steady. You have room to move. And that feeling is worth more than anything you could ever buy. That's when you start to understand the real meaning of wealth. Wealth is not the car you drive. Wealth is not the watch on your wrist. Wealth is not the brand on your clothes. Wealth is control. Wealth is options. Wealth is being able to say no. Wealth is choosing how you spend your time. Wealth is not needing to pretend. People think money changes you. It doesn't. It reveals you. If you're impulsive, money will magnify that. If you're insecure, money will highlight that. If you're wise, patient, and disciplined, then money will amplify those traits. That's why you have to become the right kind of person before the money comes. If you don't fix the inside, the outside will always fall apart. So if you're serious about changing your financial life, here's the hard truth. You have to be willing to be misunderstood. You have to be willing to not look successful for a while. You have to be willing to drive the older car. You have to be willing to wear the same clothes. You have to be willing to say, I can't afford that, even when you technically can. Not because you're poor, but because you're planning. The people who laugh now will fall behind later. The people who don't understand now will wish they did. The people who call you cheap now will call you smart in the future. Let them laugh. Let them misunderstand. Let them talk. Because you're not living for applause. You're not living for approval. You're not living to prove anything. You're building something real. Everyone wants to look successful. Everyone wants to look like they have their life together. The cars, the clothes, the lifestyle, the vacations, there's a whole culture built on pretending. And most people are so focused on looking rich that they never actually become rich. They waste their money trying to prove something to people who don't care. People they'll never speak to again. People who won't remember them next week. You don't get wealthy by trying to look wealthy. That's the trap. The truth is, trying to look rich is easy. It takes no discipline to swipe a card. It takes no patience to buy something on payments. Anyone can get a luxury car with debt. Anyone can get designer clothes on credit. You're not impressing anyone. You're just digging a hole you'll spend years trying to climb out of. Looking rich is a lie you tell yourself to avoid facing the reality of your finances. Being rich, becoming wealthy, building stability, that's different. That takes time. That takes sacrifice. That takes saying no. When everyone else is saying yes. That takes walking out of the store when your emotions are telling you to buy something to feel important. That takes learning to delay gratification. That takes maturity. Looking rich is emotional. Being rich is practical. You have to ask yourself, who am I trying to impress? What am I trying to prove? Who am I doing this for? If the answer is anyone other than your future self, then you're making a mistake, because the only person who lives with the consequences of your financial decisions is you. Not your friends, not your followers, not the strangers watching your stories. You are the one who feels the stress. You are the one who carries the debt. You are the one who lays awake at night thinking about bills. So why are you living for the approval of people who won't be there when you need help? You don't owe the world an image. You owe yourself a future. Real wealth doesn't shout. Real wealth is quiet. Real wealth is humble. It's the person with the paid-off car that still runs perfectly. It's the person who could buy something expensive but chooses not to. It's the person who has savings instead of debt. It's the person who doesn't need to prove anything, because confidence is silent. Insecurity is loud. The person who is truly free doesn't need to show you they are free. If you want to build wealth, stop chasing status. Stop chasing appearance. Stop chasing the temporary feeling of admiration. Start chasing discipline. Start chasing control. Start chasing long-term stability, because being rich is not about what you buy. It's about what you keep, what you save, what you invest, what you grow. It's about having options. It's about having time. It's about having peace. You don't need a $1,000 outfit to feel successful. You need a 6-month emergency fund. You don't need the newest iPhone every year. You need a retirement account that's growing. You don't need to go out every weekend. You need to learn how to make your money work when you're not working. There is a moment in your life when you decide to stop pretending and start building. And that moment is powerful. It's the moment you get tired of being stressed. The moment you get tired of acting like everything is fine. The moment you get tired of living paycheck to paycheck. The moment you realize that impressing others is far too expensive to keep doing. That's where wealth begins. In honesty, in responsibility, in the decision to choose your future over your impulses. Stop trying to look rich. That's how people stay broke. Start trying to be rich. That's how people change their lives, and the world may not clap for you. People might not understand you. Some may even laugh. That's fine. Let them. Because one day, while they're still pretending, you'll be living the peace they always wanted, but never disciplined themselves to earn. Be the person who chooses reality over appearance. Be the person who chooses growth over validation. Be the person who chooses freedom, because your life is too valuable to waste trying to impress people who don't matter. Most people don't actually want to be rich. They want to feel rich. They want the image, the appearance, the attention, the validation. They want strangers to look at them and think, wow, broke. They've got it together. And because of that, they spend money they don't have on things they don't need to impress people who aren't paying attention. And that's the tragedy, because in trying to look rich, they destroy the very path that could have made them become rich. You know what's easy? Buying something. You know what's easy? Making payments. Swiping a card takes 1 second. That's why looking rich is easy. Anyone can go into debt. Anyone can pretend. Anyone can play the role of wealth for a little while, but it doesn't last, because pretending comes with a bill. And when that bill comes due, reality hits harder than any financial lesson you ever learned. Real wealth is different. Real wealth is slow. Real wealth is boring. Real wealth is built on habits so simple and so consistent that most people overlook them. It doesn't feel glamorous. It doesn't look exciting. Nobody claps for you when you walk past the expensive store instead of going inside. Nobody cheers when you make an extra payment on your debt. Nobody celebrates when you choose to cook at home instead of eating out again. But these are the decisions that build the life everyone else wishes they had. The world tells you to treat yourself. The world tells you to live in the moment. The world tells you that you deserve nice things. And yes, you do deserve nice things, but not at the expense of your future, not at the expense of your peace, not at the expense of your ability to sleep at night knowing your bills are paid and your money is stable. Because here's the truth: you can't buy confidence. You can't buy peace. You can't buy stability. You can't buy freedom. You earn those things. You build those things. You develop those things through discipline, patience, and the willingness to say, not now, when everyone else is saying, right now. Looking rich is loud. It's flashy. It wants to be seen. Being rich is quiet. It doesn't need to prove anything. The people who truly have money are not the ones broadcasting it. They don't need validation. They don't need to flex. They don't need to show off because they know exactly who they are and what they have. The people who are always showing off are the ones who are scared you'll find out they have nothing. You want to build wealth, then learn how to not care what other people think. Learn how to walk your own path. Learn how to say, I don't need that, even if everyone else has it. Learn how to prioritize your long-term peace over your short-term image, because image fades, approval fades, impressing people fades, but your financial future is something you have to live with every single day. There is nothing wrong with wanting nice things, but you should buy them from a place of stability, not insecurity. You should buy them because you can afford them, not because you want to look like you can. You should buy them when the purchase doesn't affect your future, when you don't have to think about it. When your money works for you instead of against you, you cannot build a strong house on a weak foundation. And you cannot build a strong financial life on the foundation of trying to impress people. The foundation has to be discipline. The foundation has to be patience. The foundation has to be understanding the difference between desires and priorities. When the foundation is solid, the house can rise. When the foundation is weak, the house collapses the moment life hits you. You have one job: build the foundation. And the foundation starts with one simple truth: stop trying to look rich. Because the moment you stop trying to look rich is the moment you can finally start becoming rich.